He could ride any horse, but fear kept him from reaching for her hand. That's how everyone in Dusty Redemption, Texas, knew Cole. He was a legend in the rodeo ring, a man whose hands were calloused from reins, and whose spirit was as wild as the mustangs he tamed. But when it came to Sarah, the town's sweet-natured librarian with eyes the color of a summer sky, he was as clumsy as a newborn foal. Cole would see her at the general store, her fingers gracefully tracing the spines of books she was restocking. He'd feel a pull stronger than any 8-second bull ride, a force that rooted him to the spot. His heart would hammer against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat he couldn't control. He'd tip his hat, murmur a ma'am, and then hurry out, the scent of old paper and her subtle floral perfume lingering in his mind. He could face 1,000 pounds of fury in the arena, but the thought of asking her for a simple coffee made his palms sweat and his tongue feel like a lead weight. Sarah wasn't oblivious. She saw the way he watched her, the gentle giant with a storm of unspoken words in his eyes. She'd seen him calm a spooked mare with a whisper and a soft touch, and she wondered why that same gentleness never reached her. She'd leave books on Western history and horse care on the counter for him, a silent invitation. He'd buy them, his gaze never quite meeting hers, and the distance between them would feel as vast as the Texas plains. The annual town dance was approaching. The whole of Redemption buzzed with excitement. Fiddles would be tuned, lanterns would be hung, and the old town hall would be filled with laughter and the scuff of boots on wood. For Cole, it was a special kind of torment. He imagined Sarah there, a vision in a simple dress, her smile lighting up the room. He pictured other men, braver men, leading her to the dance floor, spinning her under the warm glow of the lights. The image was a spur digging into his side, sharper than any he'd ever worn. One evening, Cole was out in his paddock, leaning against a weathered fence post as the sun bled across the horizon in hues of orange and purple. His old mentor, a retired rodeo star named Gus, hobbled over, leaning heavily on a cane. Gus had seen it all, the triumphs and the heartbreaks, both in and out of the ring. "You're starring at that sunset, like it owes you money," Gus said, his voice raspy with age. Cole just grunted, not taking his eyes off the sky. "It ain't the sunset you're thinking about, is it? It's that librarian." "Sarah?" Cole stiffened. "Don't know what you're talking about." Gus chuckled, a dry, rattling sound. "Son, I've seen you face down bulls with more fire in their eyes than the devil himself. You get thrown, you get bruised, and you get right back on. You've broken more bones than I can count, but you're letting a pretty smile and a kind heart scare you more than any beast you've ever ridden." Cole finally turned to face him. "It's different, Gus. In the ring, I know the rules. I know what to expect. With her, I don't know anything. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I make a fool of myself?" Gus poked Cole in the chest with a gnarled finger. "And what if you don't? What if you spend the rest of your life wondering what if? Let me tell you something. The biggest regrets in life ain't from the falls you take. They're from the rides you were too scared to even get on. Fear of getting bucked off is part of it, but you can't let it keep you out of the chute altogether. This dance, it's your chute. Son, you can either stay behind the gate, or you can nod your head and give it your all for 8 seconds. Orientis, case for one dance." Gus's words hit Cole harder than any bucking bronco. He was a cowboy. His life was about facing fear, about taking risks. He had spent years proving he was brave enough for the rodeo. But what about being brave enough for life? For love? The night of the dance arrived. The town hall was alive with music and motion. Cole stood in the doorway, his heart pounding a familiar, frantic rhythm. He'd traded his dusty work jeans for his best dark denim, a clean-pressed shirt, and his good boots. He'd even polished his belt buckle, but he still felt like a fraud. Then he saw her. Sarah was standing near the punch bowl, talking with some friends. She wore a simple blue dress that shimmered under the lanterns, and her hair was tied back with a ribbon. She laughed at something a friend said, and the sound cut through the noise of the fiddle in the crowd, reaching Cole like a beacon. He took a deep breath, the scent of sawdust and perfume filling his lungs. He could feel Gus's words echoing in his mind. "The falls you take, or the rides you were too scared to get on. He saw other cowboys starting to drift in her direction, their intentions clear. It was now or never. It was his shoot. He pushed off the door frame and began the longest walk of his life. It felt like walking across the entire rodeo arena with every eye on him. The crowd seemed to pot for him, a sea of familiar faces turning to watch. He kept his eyes locked on Sarah, his only point of focus in a swirling world. He reached her just as the fiddler started a slow, sweet waltz. Her friends fell silent, melting back into the crowd. It was just the two of them. "Sarah," he said, his voice steadier than he expected. She turned, her eyes widening in surprise. "Cole, you came." "I did," he said, a small, nervous smile touching his lips. He held out his hand, the same hand that had gripped reins with unshakable strength, now trembling slightly. "I know I'm not much of a dancer. I'm probably more likely to step on your feet than not. But I was wondering if you might be brave enough to take that risk with me. For one dance." A slow, brilliant smile spread across Sarah's face, chasing away all the shadows of doubt in the room. It was brighter than any trophy buckle he'd ever won. She looked at his outstretched hand, then back up at his earnest, hopeful eyes. Without a word, she placed her hand in his. It was a perfect fit. "I think," she said softly, "that's a risk I'm willing to take." As he led her to the dance floor, Cole felt a sense of calm settle over him. A peace he'd never found in the roar of the rodeo crowd. He might not have been a dancer, and he was sure he'd be clumsy. But for the first time, surrounded by the music and the warm lights, with Sarah's hand in his, he wasn't afraid of falling. This was a different kind of ride, one that didn't end in 8 seconds, but felt like it could last a lifetime. And he was finally, truly, ready for it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one.